Hey, I have been watching you from behind. How did you create entire report under 5 minutes?
Simple, because I've been using the latest AI features of Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word and Microsoft PowerPoint, I'm able to do all of this work just under 5 minutes.
Can you please teach me the same?
Absolutely I can.
This is a tough call that we take when we are working in an if condition. If condition always puts us in a dilemma or puts us in a panic mode, because where to use, how to use it will be a big question here. In our current video, we're going to say where we can use the combination of if and an or functionality, where I can choose a nested if, or if you're using Office 2019 and above, you will see if yes function comes into play. The combination is pretty straightforward here. So when I go back to the data set here, if my results are less and the condition to get the results are more, then I will use the combo 1 or combination 1 in point, where I can use the if and or not none functionality in a combination pattern. If the results are more but the condition is going to remain less, then I use the combo 2 or combination 2 here, where I have to pick and choose what kind of a formula that I want to use. Whether it is a single condition, I'll give an if. If it is more than one condition, I will either use a nested if or if else functionality. Let us start with the first combination, and then we will go for the last combination. Last combination will give us simple data. I'll create one data at the last part and then I'll build them up. That will be easier for you. So let's start with the very basics of the list here. So the first logic that we're going to see right now is what is logical test and why we need to, or where we will be using an if condition. Normally when I go down to this point, this is the agenda that I have here. I have 5 different customers with their credit rating here. They already got a loan from me. They want me to extend their loan. I'm one of a banker, or I'm one of the NBFC who are about to extend their loan capacity, or I'm going to give them one more top up on their loan. As a banker, I say that if your credit rating is above 6.0 or equivalent to or above 6.0 out of 10, I'll give you a loan. This is the agenda that I'm keeping in for the loans here, and by the credit rating structure that I have at the moment, I may not be able to see them all, or not all of them is going to get the list here. To make our logical test work, I'm going to normally go down here. I'm going to just give an equals. I'll select all the data set, and then I say the normal math functionality, or a different operator here called greater than or equal to 1 above. So as I'm using Office 365, I'm going to use a spell effect functionality. If not so, you can use a cell references. Again, watch the video that I've added, how to use a cell references and where to use a spell effect effectively. So if you're not able to get the spell effects, then you are in Office 2016 version, probably won't get it. When I give an enter, that's going to populate an answer, and the answer looks a little weird. It says true or false. I really don't want true or false here. I should get an answer, say please extend the credit for this guy, and don't extend credit for this guy. This is what the agenda that I need to get here. This is where my if condition will populate instead of a logical test. And if I try to create a formula part for me here, then you can see automatically it is going to give you the same answer, whatever I'm going to use in the list, and then I'm going to get the answer here. So when I go back to this point, I'll say if control A, and then I'm going to use the same spell effects again. Select all the data set here, and if it's greater than or equal to the 1 above, then if this is a true value, then I say I'll give an extension of credit for him. If it is a false value, I won't extend this credit. So when I give an enter, that's going to populate all my answer in here, and then you can see the data sets are coming perfectly. So I got the list. Oh, sorry, I think I gave greater than flat here. Forgive me. I'm going to give greater than or equals. That's going to populate and showcase a different answer altogether. So there are wherever couldn't cross my credit rating principles given by me, or the banker here won't get a credit. Wherever we get a credit, you get the list here. If you closely watch the formula on the right, I just embedded the logical test that I did a while ago inside an if condition. Other than that, I didn't do anything, and the result should change for me. If it is the true condition for an if condition, then that's going to give you an extension of credit. If it is not so, it's not going to extend the credit furthermore. This is how we use a normal if condition here. And if I go back to the AND conditions here, this is where my conditions are going to become even more cumbersome. The banker says that he has to fulfill 2 conditional lists here. So your credit rating has to be 6 or equal to that or above that, or your data sets or your sales for the last year has to be of $500,000. Let me make it in Indian rupee, that will sound a little less. Let me convert that all to Indian rupee. It will become 500,000 rupees or 5 lakhs is minimum to do it. When I get more than one condition, my if condition will also not work. I cannot use the logic that I told you earlier. The combo 2 cannot be used, because my result is going to be either extending a credit or do not extend the credit. That's a 2 logic that's going to come into play. So the result is going to be always less, but the conditions are getting bigger and bigger. So now I'll start with an AND condition here. So the AND condition will allow you to do that. In a single AND condition, you can go the maximum of 255 logical tests here. So I'm going to go back to this list, or I can select the whole list here, and then I'll say greater than or equals to the above, and then I'll give a comma, and then I'll select this list greater than or equal to the one above, and then close the bracket and give an enter. That's going to populate. Now you can see that the spill effect is not working. This is where our spill effects will go for a toss, because I'm selecting 2 conditions, 2 columns and 2 conditions here. This is where I'll make sure that the AND condition works one by one. So I'll select the first condition, I'll say greater than or equal to the one above, and then I'll freeze that column or that cell. I'll give a comma, then go back to this point, I'll say greater than or equal to this, I'll freeze the column again. When I close the bracket and give an enter, that's going to give you the true or false here, and I populate that with a fill effect here, or a control D here. Now I can add an if in front of it. So I'm going to call this as my logical test in the if, and you can see when I select the logical test, it's going to give you a false or true on top. Then I'm going to give a comma, and then I say that this is going to be extension of credit is come into play. So I'll say extend credit. When I type it, please don't miss the double quotes here, because these are conditions that we are extending it. If you're doing it within the function argument, the double quotes will be given by the system itself, so you don't want to worry about double quotes. The system will take care of it. When I build an AND condition and an OR condition, the system shows only one guy is getting the loan, and the banker will really kill himself for this, because he cannot have only one person coming out of 5 getting a loan here, because the banker may not run his show afterwards. So this is the formula that I built for the AND combinations here. And if I want to use an OR combination, and I can do that, any one condition has to be satisfied here. In the formula is going to still remain same, so I'm going to come back here, select the whole formula, and then I'll paste it below. And then when I paste the data below, I'm going to just say no, and I'm going to just call this as OR, and then I'm populate this. You will see a lot of people are getting a loan, but still one particular customer is not getting it. So I used a different formula here, so I'm going to come back here and then add the formulas in this list. You can see that I use an OR condition instead of if. So any one condition satisfies, he'll get the list. Again, I don't want to keep the money in a bigger way. Let me convert that into an Indian rupees. And when I get something like this, this is where my real headache will start into play. Here I'm going to use all of them here. So I'm going to use if and an OR. So let's see how to do that. So I cannot copy paste the formula, I have to fill them up here. So I'm going to just say start with an AND, because my first condition is mandate. So I cannot use a spell effect here, so I'm going to use the cell references formula, F4 once, give a comma, and an OR condition here. I'll see if this is greater than the one above, and F4 once comma. Then the next one should be greater than or equal to the one which is in between. F4, close the bracket twice and then give an enter. That's going to give you the true or false. And I'm changing this into an Indian rupee again, and then I'll come back here. I'll just say if that's true, then I'm going to give an extension of credit with a double quotes in it, and and if it is not so, I'm not going to extend this credit here. So I could have done this in a function argument, but I didn't do that. So when I populate this, it's going to tell you whoever who have got their first condition intact will definitely get a loan. Sometimes the other two goes for a toss, then he may not get the loan here. So any one will definitely be available for us. It works for you beautifully. Before I go to the second topic that we're going to do on nested if and if-else functionality. So we are running a program on Microsoft Office hacks here. So when you're working on ChatGPT and AI tool with our Microsoft Office tools like Excel, Word and PowerPoint, this hack will be a very useful tool for you. And you're going to spend it on a Sunday, and you're going to spend only 3 hours, and the cost at which you're going to get this program is cheap. So if you want to know more about it, please click the description link below, which allows you to know more about this data better. So let's jump back to our list where we are going to use the second combo, where is any of these dimensions here. So let me pick up the data. So I'm going to create a revenue here, and then I'm going to create an expenditure here, and then I want to see whether it is a profit or loss. So I'm going to just say 25,000 here, and then 22,000 here. That's the rupees that I'm going to get in this point, and I'm going to just say equals this minus this. Now I want to get an answer here whether it is a profit or a loss. Then I can use a normal if condition. I'm going to just say equals if this value is greater than 0, then I'll call that as profit. If not, that's a loss. So automatically when my valuation falls down in the revenue, then there's going to be a loss. When the valuation goes above this, it's going to be a profit. But if the valuations are coming exact, then the third dimension won't happen here, because my condition that I specified in the formula is greater than. This is where I have to take a call whether I can go for a nested if function or an if-else function. If-else function is far easier because you can write as many as 127 conditions here, where in an nested if you can go to the maximum of 64. Let me build a nested if functionality. So I'm going to just again use the same formula part again. So let me just come down here. I will add the same formulas here. This time around I'm going to tell the system if you can start the formula from a negative effect or a positive effect, it is up to you. So I'm going to say if this is greater than 0, then I'll tell profit. I cannot close the brackets in this dimension, because when I do that I'll only get 2 additions here or 2 results here. To make sure that getting the third result, I'm going to give a comma and add a second if condition here, and then I'm going to say if this formula is equal to 0, then I call that as break even. If both the functions are not working, then that's going to be a loss for me. When I populate this, automatically going to give you a break even when the valuations are matching. When the revenues are more, then I get a profit. When the revenues are less, my valuation is going to show a loss. When my revenues are equal, my second condition is going to show me a break even. The formula that I used is double if here. If I'm using if yes function, that advantage that I have in here is I can give the condition not in one dimension, in whatever dimension that I want. If you're using Office 2019 and above, you can do that. Then you'll see this is the formula that I'm going to get here. The first formula is this. I'm going to see if this is greater than, or I'll call this as if this is equal to 0, then I'll call it as break even. Now I'm using a function argument. If 9 is greater than 0, then I'll say profit. If 9 is less than 0, then it's a loss. So like this, I can add 127 condition in my if-else functionality. In nested if functionality, the maximum condition that I can add is only 64. When I do that, it's going to give you the answer, the formula that I get in this list here in this way. So earlier I have to pick up one dimensional part. I'll say negative to positive or positive to negative in a nested if condition. In an if-else condition, there is no such thumb rules here. I can do in whatever way that I want to do with it. This is Vinod signing out from Be10x YouTube channel. Please like, comment and share a video and subscribe our YouTube channel for more informative videos to follow. Thank you so much. Happy updating.